who is the Chief Executive Officer of Givo and a Director at Capture Solutions. At ACCA, Chartered Accountant, Chartered Accountant and University of Liverpool Accounting and Finance graduate. He is a KPMG alumnus with over 15 years of experience across finance, sustainability, product development, manufacturing, and technology solutions. An impact-driven entrepreneur, Victor leverages technology to enhance sustainability, circular economy, featured by BBC, CNN, and the World Economic Forum, where he is a recipient of major awards, including Orange Corners of Nigeria, Anthony Elumelu Foundation grants, Coca-Cola, Epic, and last week, the Royal Academy Engineering Africa Prize, UNIDO ITPO Clean Energies Challenge, and the AFD Digital Challenge. Victor is also a laureate of the French African Foundation and Vice President of the Lagos Recyclers Association. You're welcome, Victor. Okay, the next I have is Feishayo. Okay. All right, Feishayo Alayande is the executive secretary. Okay, thank you. Feishayo Alayande is the executive secretary of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, leading the executive management team in driving the fund's mandate for jobs creation, skills development, and economic empowerment. She has 16 years plus experience of global experience in banking and finance services, spanning businesses, strategy transformation, and product development across Europe and Africa. Her career includes roles at HSBC Global Banking and Markets, Royal Bank of Scotland, and FBN Quest, where she led major strategic technology-driven initiatives. She has served as the head of products, digital, and marketing at Letshago, Nigeria, expanding financial access for SMEs and individuals. She holds a master's in management from Imperial College and a degree in business economics with expertise in a sustainable finance and microfinance and project management. You're welcome, Feishayo. Okay. And I have here. Okay, all right. So I'll introduce her. Okay. Adekemi Adewoye, standing. Adeoye, you're welcome. And last on the list, I have here Dominion Uba, the director, Propagate Technologies, one of the leading technology firms. So he has led various initiatives at Propagate Technologies. So you're welcome, Mr. Dominion. I may not be able to read that, but because of our time. So welcome. So I would like to start with Victor Boyle Komolafe. So, Victor, before then, our audience, please, our topic for today, this breakout session is secular systems and the new urban value chain. So I will start with Victor. So, Victor, GVO proves that waste can be a resource, not burden. But Lagos still struggles with behavior change. Now, the question here, what radical shift in policy, technology, or public mindset do you believe that must happen before secular manufacturing can truly scale in the city?
Thank you very much for that question. Can everyone hear me? Okay, that's fine. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. Like you said, my name is Victor, and I represent a company called GIVO. GIVO is an acronym. But to answer your question, I think there are a few things that need to change, especially, first of all, in the mentality of Lagos residents. We're still mostly used to this value chain that consists of collecting, or again, using a natural resource, using a product, and then disposing the resource, perhaps not in the most efficient way. So the resource ends up going to landfills and waterways. And I think there needs to be a difference in mindset for most of us, because we need to understand that, again, we are harming ourselves by not recycling or by not putting things away the right way. So first of all, we need to understand what that does on us. Secondarily, I think there's a big policy issue that needs to be addressed. Policy that incentivizes behavioral change among residents. Policy that that incentivizes responsibility among producers of some of these materials. Technology has a role to play also in terms of tracking and tracing and seeing or measuring the impact of these policies. But yeah, I think majorly from a governmental point of view, a policy that encourages community-based collection, community-based recycling, that encourages communities to recycle rather than put things in the landfill, that makes it easier for everyone here to engage in recycling, and also unlocks financing to tackle some of these issues in the value chain.
Okay, thank you, Victor. And then I'll... Okay, Feyi Sayo. Okay.
Feyi Shayo.
Feyi Shayo, apologies once again. Feyi Shayo.
Just stick to Feyi if it helps.
Okay, Feyi. The circular economy is opening entirely new pathways for green jobs, from recycling and repurposing to agri-tech and sustainable manufacturing. Now, from your position at LSETF, how are you preparing Lagos workforce and SMEs to actually seize these opportunities rather than watch them pass by?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Feyi Shai is my name. You can call me Feyi. So I work for Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, and I think the starting point for us is to ensure that everyone is clear what we do. So our mandate is to ensure every Lagosian has a right to a job, whether on the entrepreneurship side or on the employment side. And very simple, we push the narrative around recycling, upcycling via our programs, whether it's on the capacity building side or on the entrepreneurship side. But I'll talk more on the capacity building side. So we actually have programs that actually train residents in Lagos State on how to turn certain products, use material, making sure they're useful. We actually have a program under one of our employability schemes where we actually had residents turning waste to wealth and waste to artwork. And the whole idea is to get people realizing you can see something here, you can pick it up, and you can actually turn it into money. So it's a narrative that we're trying to change as well. But even on the entrepreneurship side, when we have our entrepreneurs approach us, we actually make sure they understand what sustainability is, what recycling is, because even in your space as a fashion designer, for example, there's going to be a lot of waste that you go through, and we ensure that we teach that side to let them realize you need to dispose waste properly, and even if you're not disposing waste, you need to find a way to reuse the waste. Very recently, we partnered with 360 Hub in Yaba, where if anyone is in the fashion industry, there's a hub where you can actually go to work from that location without having to have, your own sewing machine and all the works. But the whole idea is there are people there that can help in cutting, there are people there that can help turn that material that you've used to something else. And it's just the way of us making everyone understand that there is wealth that can be created from waste. The third element to this is around some of the loans that we give as well. So we give access to credits for anyone in Lagos State, but we make sure that even as we're giving you the access to credit, you're using it for what's intended. And even as you're using it, we're monitoring to make sure that it's sustainable. So those are the ways in which we actually support the ecosystem, just making sure that everyone has a sense of responsibility when it comes to waste management and recycling.
Oh, thank you. That was very insightful, like giving Audience, please, can we give her a round of applause for that wonderful question, trying to outline the partnership they have with the government. So thank you once again. I will come over to you.
Just say Kemi.
Oh, Kemi. So Kemi, Lagos loses thousands of tons of organic waste every day while battling food insecurity. From your lens as a pioneer in soilness and circular farming, how can the city close this loop, turning waste into inputs and building a food system that is both productive and regenerative?
All right, thank you for that question. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adikemi Adeoye. I'm being called the Farmer's Coach, and I work for Soilless Farm Lab. Okay, so speaking to the question, I think the first thing we need to consider is when we speak about circular economy, what comes to our mind? Yes, I understand that we've actually been emphasizing the need for waste management, but I would also have to eat that can we have a redesign of our value chain? Because if you're speaking to production waste, we should also speak to consumption waste. Are we together?
Yeah.
Thank you. Because we cannot just start speaking to, yes, when we are done producing, food is wasted. We also need our consumers to understand that as we emphasize responsible production, we will need to emphasize responsible consumption. So speaking to what we can do, I would rather say it's a collective action because it's not one person's work. It doesn't end with a farmer. Even the food production doesn't end with a farmer. So why do we think the approach alone will end with a farmer? Thank you.
A round of applause for her. That was a wonderful answer. So I'll come over to you, Mr. Dominion Oba. Okay, you lead a sector that literally redefining ways sometimes through technology. So from your vantage point, what structural changes does Lagos need to build a truly circular urban economy?
Okay, hello everyone. So to build a properly circular structural economy, I believe the very first thing to do is to, like my colleague has said here, have a review of the entire process, the entire value chain, and the value chain begins from collection. How efficiently is the waste collected before you even start talking about other things? I lead, innovation and technology at a technology firm, and one of the things that we do is consult for people in different, sphere of life. We've been able to conduct, some sort of research and development and consulting for a waste recycling organization as well. So in doing that, we got to understand, the different things about, the different intricacies about, waste management, recycling, and all that. And the beautiful thing is that this application was built for people outside the country, people who have, sort of perfected the act of proper waste management. And one of the things that we saw them doing was incentivizing people to collect waste. So it's not just, keep Lagos clean just because, our Lagos has to be clean. It's more or less, okay, for you, there is a cost to having a dirty Lagos. So we're going to pay you to reduce that cost. So maybe there should be a shift in how, starting from the government, how they see this, acknowledging the true waste of having, littering, in places, and then maybe see if there could be some sort of, subsidization or some sort of tokenization to find a way to ensure people, benefit from keeping their environments clean, and things like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. If not because of time, I would have loved you to continue. Please, can we clap for him? That was great. So I'll come over to you, Victor. Globally, distributed recycling is redefining how materials flow through cities. From your experience, is this model truly viable for Lagos? And what will it take for communities, that is from low-income neighborhoods to industrial clusters, to adopt it at scale?
Thanks very much for that question. So for those that don't know what GIVO does, we have distributed recycling centers across Nigeria. I think we have close to 10 right now. And yes, I'm a very firm believer on distributed models for infrastructure in general. The data shows that in a 1 kilometer radius, you have between 10 and 15,000 people that live there. And the average recyclables per capita is about 40 kilograms. So in a 1 kilometer radius, you have, give or take, 40 tons of material. And if you scale that up to 5 kilometers, you have over 200 tons of material. I think this is the way to go regarding collecting and ensuring there's proper infrastructure to have these collections done closer to the source of the waste. And what that does is it also increases the benefits to the community. So you have jobs that are created, right? Because the production is happening closer to the community. You're able to optimize logistics. The biggest cost in waste management, regardless of what sector, is transportation, right? And so, yes, I think for it to truly flourish in a market like Nigeria, like Lagos State, I think there's need for policy, because you kind of have to work backwards. If the right policy is there, then it's easier to understand the financing required for a long-term commitment. But because the policy is not quite there, it's hard to have locked-in contracts for the buybacks or the assets, or it's hard to have financing to build the centers because, for example, all our centers rely on clean energy, and that costs a lot more money than a traditional firm. So just in general, I mean, sorry that I'm coming on this policy horse, but yes, I think policy is needed to be able to drive a large-scale production of this. But I truly believe that for a long-term sustainable future in Lagos State, we need to have modular and community-based recycling models. Waste management is very local. It's not state-wide, it's not area-wide, it's local, and that needs to be done more.
Okay, thank you very much. That was great. Please, can we clap for him once again? And for those of you that are just coming in here, we're looking at this breakout session 2 on the topic circular systems and the new urban value chain. You're welcome once again, and then I'll take this question to one of our speakers here, Faye Shayo. So, financing is often the most significant barrier to secular startups and a community-based enterprise. What innovative funding models, whether blended finance, the risk lending, micro investment, or incentive-based programs, do you believe Lagos must adopt to unlock real scale in this emerging sector?
All right, thank you. One I can readily say, because it hit me as you were speaking when you highlighted transport being an issue. We're actually working with one of our partners who's providing EV vehicles for those that would typically transport waste materials from one site to another. And we're actually looking to fund that, given a particular size of a loan. So we call it asset finance. That product is still very early days. But the whole idea was we are not designing that product on our own. We're actually listening to our partners and people on the field to understand what's the right model that would work for that type of finance. So yes, it's going to be credit, but there's going to be some element of, there's going to be some element of equity contribution by the beneficiaries as well, just to ensure that they're committed and we can do the right credit assessment before we give them access to that. And you must appreciate what's sensitive about asset finance is if they take the actual asset and run away with it, what happens? We then have an issue, right? So it's a very sensitive one where we need to make sure that we can recoup the funds, but ultimately the person that's getting access to that piece of asset is able to use it for the purpose it's intended for. So that's one opportunity that I know that we're working on to address that in particular to support the green economy. But I should highlight this, that whenever we speak to entrepreneurs in the green economy and the recycling space, some of them don't necessarily need access to big funds. So we're also looking at smaller tenured lending, whereby almost like a 1-month loan or a 2-month loan that's just basically helping them to buy a particular material that's required to get them from day 1 to day 30, so shorter tenured loans as well. But ultimately, the requirements are still the same in terms of assessing who is credit worthy to access the loan. One last thing I would highlight to add to the point around blended finance, it's not really about the blended finance, but making sure that anyone in this space, you look for a community, because there is now a lot of leverage on community lending, whereby we actually lend to your community as a whole. So if anyone is needing to plug in, please plug into a community or an association, because it will help you to build that credit rating to access more finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was just enjoying it, but because of our time, we need to vote. I'm glad the audience can get one or two things from there. Okay, so Kemi, we just have few time, so you can just use a minute or two, just a minute or let's say 2 minutes for you to answer this. Your work with Solness Farm Lab shows how technologies like hydroponics and controlled environment agriculture can dramatically increase yields with fewer resources. Now, what will it take in policy investments or public awareness to make these urban agri-tech solutions mainstreams in Lagos?
Okay, thank you. I think just like one of my colleagues here said, that we have to consider a mind shift. I think we would begin with having to understand that what we're talking about, building a sustainable city, is the Lagos we all deserve. And if we need to make it happen, it would be that we would put in the work. Speaking to the technology in hydroponics, aeroponics, technology in itself is not going to work as a standalone thing. It's going to be an enabler when we are ready to see what it is in our own context, what the use of technology would be. That we can simplify our solution, localize our solution, and drive sustainable change.
Oh, great. Please, can we clap for her, please? That was wonderful. Okay, thank you for that. And I'll move over to Dominion. Recycling thrives where ecosystems work together. Collectors, processors, manufacturers, and regulators. Here in Lagos, what collaboration gaps do you believe must be urgently addressed?
Okay, so one of the major things is these different people working, in silos. So I feel one of the most important things, as every other connected system, one of the things that, that helps things get, better in terms of efficiency are systems. So review of the system, introduction of, technology, sort of technology that connects, all these different stakeholders together, It's just like, for example, a company, an organization has HR, accounting, different arms, admin, and all that. What brings it together? What most large organizations use now are ERPs, for example. And then you can have, accounting can see what's happening in HR, HR can see what's happening in. So these systems are things that, help to ensure that, this, organizations, these different organizations that are different parts of an entire body don't move in silos, but work together to, to a common goal. So my answer to that is basically digitization and proper connection of this, various parts using technology.
Okay, thank you. Because of our time, I'll just quickly use the remaining 2 minutes here to just a minute or so to Victor. Can you help us, Givo relies heavily on transparency and data. Suppose Lagos wants to build a citywide circular economy. Now, here is a question the audience needs to know. What kind of tech infrastructure or government system do you think is essential to connect households, recyclers, and manufacturers into one functional value chain?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, sorry, for the third time today, I'm going to talk about policy again. I think the role of the government isn't necessarily in building systems or engaging in commerce, is around providing policy guidance that then enables technology or other things develop. So yes, I think that there's need for Lagos State to have a reports monitoring and verification system. But more importantly, I think Lagos State needs to define things around recycling. So what is a unit measurement? What do you count as recycling? For example, a lot of people in the industry do baling. Baling is putting materials and compressing it. Technically, that is not recycling, but it is considered recycling. When you're talking about monitoring,
yes, please just explain that better.
It's necessary. Explain that better.
Yeah.
For processing materials, you technically have two types. Baling of material makes it into like a box that makes it easier to transport, or you have shredding and granulating that goes further down the value chain. When it comes to the technical terms and when it comes to recycling as a product, as a service, you have to be making a new product. And so baling of materials doesn't qualify as recycling, even though in this industry, a lot of people say they do recycling, but they do aggregation, and baling is aggregation. And so in an actual monitoring and evaluation and reporting document, those things have to be clear and have to be standardized. So yeah, just in terms of policy, there needs to be clearer understanding of what is measured, how it should be measured. And if those things are clear, then private sector players like myself would be incentivized to create a product for that market.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to our audience, and thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. So we've come to the end of this session on circular systems and the new urban value chain. And I appreciate our speakers here. Victor, thank you very much. Faye, thank you. Kemi, thank you. Dominion, thank you. So see you. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Sorry. Apologies. Because of our time, we can only entertain few questions. Let me ask if you have a question. Okay, yes, one. Okay, how many? Okay, we'll start with the last person at the back.
Thank you very much to all the panelists. My question goes to Faye and I think Komolafe. So I would be interested in the asset financing. We are Bashcap Nigeria, an e-waste management company based here in Lagos, and be interested in it to know more about it. I don't know if there's a platform where we can try to read about, because I know you mentioned about equity, so just try to know more about it. And secondly, we have so many plastic recyclers in Lagos. At least each local government has a recycler. And I've been wondering, why is it that there's no collaboration? It's very easy to get from source your plastics. An event is happening here, the local government here just comes with the truck, pick it up. They can be able to, like 2 or 3. So why is there no collaboration within plastic recyclers? Because I just feel everybody wants to do everything, and it's not possible because we have so many waste. Likewise, e-waste. Also, we are leaving out the informal sector, especially for the electronic waste. The informal sector does a lot in e-waste, but I feel the government doesn't really try to do more of collaboration. Thank you.
So I'll just say quickly, still in the early days, but the equity I mentioned was you'd have to give like 5% contribution to the size of the loan so that we can secure that, and making sure that in the event you default, we can actually collect. But it's still in the early days. Well, please just look out on www.lsctf.ng or LSCTF on our social media to find out more. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and regarding the second thing you said, I think it's still important to understand that this is a largely informal market. So I would say 10% of all the things you see ends up in landfill and waterways. And out of that 10% that gets recycled, most of it is done by the abokis, right? So just to say that it's still an informal market. In the informal market, there's fragmentation. Again, the rules are not clear, so there's a policy conversation there. A lot of recyclers are not licensed as well. So yeah, these are characteristics of an informal, fragmented market, and over time, especially when policy comes in, those will change.
Okay, thank you, please. Please, is there any other question? Anybody from the audience, please? Any other question? Okay, if we keep having this conversation, we'll stay here. So on this note, we'll draw the curtain for today. So thank you once again. My name is Prince Will Onyekachi. Love to see you here next year on AOT 8.0. Bye.